Okay, homage to the Buddha, homage to the Dhamma, and homage to the Noble Sangha. Today's meditation is about the Sila Sutta, Virtuous Discourse. Venerable Mahakotita said to Venerable Sariputta, Friend Sariputta, what are the things that a virtuous monk should carefully attend to? Friend Kotita, a virtuous monk should carefully attend to the five aggregate subject to clinging, as impermanent as suffering, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as misery, as an affliction, as alien, as disintegrating, as empty, as non-self. What five? The form aggregate subject to clinging, the feeling aggregate subject to clinging, the perception aggregate subject to clinging, the volitional formation aggregate subject to clinging, the consciousness aggregate subject to clinging. A virtuous monk should carefully attend to these five aggregate subject to clinging as impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as misery, as an affliction, as alien, as disintegrating, as empty, as non-self. When friend, a virtuous monk carefully attend thus to these five aggregate subject to clinging, it is possible that he may realize the fruit of stream entering. But friend Sariputta, what are the things that a monk who is a stream enterer should carefully attend to? Friend Kotita, a monk who is a stream enterer should carefully attend to five aggregate subject to clinging as impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as misery, as an affliction, as alien, as disintegrating, as empty, as non-self. When friend, a stream enterer carefully attend thus to these five aggregate subject to clinging, it is possible that he may realize fruit of once returning. But friend Sariputta, what are the things that a monk who is a once returner should carefully attend to? Friend Kotita, a monk who is once returner should carefully attend to the five aggregate subject to clinging as impermanent and up to the as non-self. When friend, a once returner carefully attend thus to these five aggregate subject to clinging, it is possible that he may realize the fruit of non-returning. That means he become an anagami. But friend Sariputta, what are the things that a monk who is a non-returner should carefully attend to? Friend Kotita, a monk who is a non-returner should carefully attend to the five aggregate subject to clinging as impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, and so on, as non-self. When friend, a non-returner carefully attend thus to these five aggregate subject to clinging, it is possible that he may realize fruit of arahantship. But friend Sariputta, what are the things that a monk who is an arahant should carefully attend to? Friend Kotita, a monk who is an arahant should carefully attend to the five aggregate subject to clinging as impermanent, as suffering, and as non-self. For the arahant friend, there is nothing further that he has to be done, and no repetition of what he has already done. However, when these things are developed and cultivated, they lead to a pleasant dwelling in this very life and to mindfulness and clear comprehension. So as you can see, for everyone then it is the same thing, whether you are an arahant or not, whether you don't have stream entry or not, you contemplate about this four aggregate subject of clinging as impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, up to this as non-self. So the arahant does not have to do anything, but although when they do this one, they are also doing it. When they do that one, they get this pleasant dwelling in this very life and mindfulness and clear comprehension. So now you can see that there are 11 parts over here, starting from impermanent, suffering to up to non-self. So when we say matter, feeling, perception, volitional formation, and consciousness, so it is 5. 5 into 11, 55. So it is a bit difficult for one to contemplate. You can. Sahampati Mahabrahma is showing us a sort of easy way of looking at this one. So you know that we do have this birth, aging, sickness, and so on. There are 12 parts over there. So we can write down these 11 using the 11 terms in this birth, aging, sickness. So we leave out this last one, not to receive what one desire is suffering, that part leave out. So let us look at first that those parts that we know. So here in the diagram you can see there is this birth, and then we have aging, sickness, death, and then here we have this suffering part, and then we have this sadness, sorrow and lamentation, and then we have distress, upayasa, and separation from what is pleasing, and union with what is displeasing. So we have left out that the last one, the yampiccan nalabati tambi dukkam, that is this not to receive what one desire is suffering. So with these 11 terms, we are going to mark the 11 terms that we have in the discourse. The first one is this impermanence. Aniccato is the Pali word, and that is coming under contemplation of impermanence. So we did that impermanence meditation on the first day. Now we have a baby type body, birth, and it was subject to aging and sickness and death. What is death? Death means the death of consciousness. So then you are in a mind-made body that you have not eaten, so that is the suffering part over here. So you are separated from the baby type body, therefore it is impermanent. So we write impermanent under number birth. So this is the first one, the impermanent, aniccato. And the next one is suffering, and that is coming under contemplation, called contemplation of pain. So we also meditated on that one. So now you can see this aging is a part of suffering. Birth, aging, sickness, that lot, we have this aging. So we write down the suffering underneath aging. It is aligning with that one. And then the third one is a disease, rogato in Pali. So that is coming under contemplation of pain. So you see, this body is that you need to feed it and maintain it, you need to turn it this way, that way, and so on. Much trouble over here. So it is a disease. So we write down disease just underneath the sickness. So that is very well matching. And then the fourth one is a tumor. Gandato is the Pali word. That one is coming under contemplation of pain again. So, if there is some sort of a tumor, then, sometimes he got a brain tumor and he died. So we write down the tumor underneath the death. That if you have a boil in your leg or something, you protect it. You put a plaster and so on. Why? Do you like the wound? No, you actually, because that if this wound is becoming bigger and bigger, then you can expect, that your death can be expected from that one. So this is this derogation and disparaging type thing. They are like these wounds for us. So then the next one is a dart. That is sallato in Pali. It is also coming under the contemplation called contemplation of pain. So we learned that one. Remember in the first part, here physical nutriment, we are coming to the barb of lust and we are going back to the physical nutriment. So it's a dart over there. And then the contact as nutriment, then we have this barb of hate over here. So that's another one, that's another dart. And then in the third part you can see we have this barb of views over here. So then it's another dart over there. And then in the fourth part, consciousness as nutriment, that we have the barb of delusion. So there are those 4 barbs over there, that means they are the darts. So now biggest one, that is in the consciousness path. So we have written down that over here. It is not underneath over here with the birth, age and sickness. It is the only thing that we have written down on the top. It's a dot. And then the sixth one is the misery. Is the word agato in Pali. So because of this suffering nature, we have this calamity. So here we have written down this misery. If you are in a mind-made body, you have not eaten for many days, then you've got a miserable state over there because I could not eat for 1 day, 2 days and so on. So there is a physical suffering. And not only that one, you have mental ones as well, mental suffering. I could not eat, therefore you have. So we are joining sadness with a line to misery to indicate that it is physical as well as mental. So misery is there, number 6. And the number 7 is this abadito in Pali, affliction. We have marked that one over here, just underneath the sorrow. You see, if you are, it's like disabled. Let us say that you are in a wheelchair, your legs have been amputated, so you can't walk. So then you sorrow, I can't walk, I can't, like other people. So it is matching to sorrow over here, disabled scenario. And then that is also coming under contemplation of pain. The next one is that alien. In Pali word is parato. So that alien means that we are relying on others. That a monk, for example, depend on the food that provided by the lay disciples, lay persons. Not only monks, we are also relying on, for example, you are working and you are depending on the institution that is providing you with the job. Not only you, let us say there is a billionaire. So that particular person has got $1 billion in his house, but if there is a starvation time on earth, then a billionaire can't eat that those things. Cockroach can eat, but human beings can't eat those coins and papers. So then now you can see the billionaire and you yourself are dependent on the person who is selling these food items to you. That is, you are depending on the seller. So these things become apparent. Remember there was an earthquake in Haiti, and at that time people did not have anything to eat. Then the people closed the shops and they went. So these people got to go there and then break the shop and then take food items out of that one. So we are depending on the seller, food seller. So food seller can't sell those things unless that truck driver bringing those food material to the shop. So then we are dependent on the person, that truck driver. And then not only that, the truck driver can't bring those things unless the farmer is doing that his business of farming. So then we are depending on the farmer as well. You see, we thought that we are the big guy, sort of scenario, but it looks like that we are completely dependent on others. So farmer, when he's doing this farming business, that there are two persons, two things helping the farmer. That is this, one is above the ground, one is underneath. That worms are helping. So without them, we can't live. So that means we are depending on the worms as well. We thought we are the big guys, but now it looks like we are not. It is just, if there is any worms or something like that, we can't live. Scientists are sort of investigating whether we can live on other planets. And they find we got to have some sort of a small creature, something should be there, otherwise we can't live. But they really do not know what is the minimum, should be there for us to have. They are still looking for it, but we can't, so we are dependent. So now we have written down this alien part in the path of this consciousness, the Newton consciousness path, and just underneath the lamentation. So that means the consciousness is dependent on something. What is consciousness is dependent on? You can see from the volitional formations, and then we get the consciousness. Sanskara paccaya vijnanam, depending on the volitional formations, consciousness come to be. So if you are understanding that one, then you are understanding a really big one over here. So, and then next one is number 9, disintegrating. The Pali word is palokato. And there is this discourse called Paloka Dhamma Sutta in Salayatana Samyutta Channavagga. There, Venerable Ananda is asking Buddha, Bhante, Paloka Dhamma, what is this Paloka Dhamma? And then Buddha said, Ananda, this I is, disintegrating. Ear is disintegrating. Nose, tongue, body, and Buddha said mind is also disintegrating. So normally you can see that, your eye, ear, all those things are actually going down, you need spectacles and so on, hearing aids. But the mind is also breaking. So Buddha said in certain discourses, mind is intact and mind is not intact. Some people commit suicide, at their old age as well, 70, 60 as well. So when such a person trying to commit suicide, their children talk to me and ask why he is trying to do that one. And then I asked Sampati Mahaprabhu, why is he trying to do that one? And then he said that his mind is breaking. It's not aligning. You see, for us to know, there's a table over here. How do you know this is a table? For you to understand it's a table, your mental states and the mind should align so that you can determine this is a table. So when that alignment is no longer, then because of a sickness it is happening, then that person feel like committing suicide. There's no point for me to stay. So Sampati Mahaprabhu said that person, after death, these mental states, it will align. And it actually happened, and I have been speaking to that person when he was in mind-made body. At that time, he wanted to come to earth and, become a pilot. So, it is this, we are normally thinking if, someone hang themselves, then they are going to hell. But it is not the case because of this type of sickness. When they do, they are not going to hell. So we have marked, you see, when we say eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, there are 5 things, and the mind. So we give a big weight over here. So underneath the distress, we have marked disintegrating. So that means your eye, the impermanent eye, ear, and so on. And then the number 10 is empty. So today, in the 3rd session, we will be looking at a discourse called Chula Sunyata Sutta. In that one, we are sort of understanding more about this emptiness. But for the moment, let us look at a simple example. So in front of you, you can see that there is this, starting from the hair to, the leg part over there, that there is this some disgusting parts here. And to this lot, that there is a name given as Lalit. So let us take another name, let's say Sunil. So no one is calling this, 32 parts over here as Sunil. So then you can see this whole thing over here, starting from the hair hair of the body and so on, is empty of the concept called Sunil. That is right, isn't it? Because no one is calling this one Sunil. So now you write it as a sort of statement, this disgusting thing, 32 parts of the body is empty of the concept called Sunil. And having written down that one, then you cut the word Sunil and then you put word Lalit. Now you read it again, then this disgusting thing, 32 parts of the body is empty of the concept called Lalit. Because you agree with the word Sunil, then Lalit is also another word. And then you write down this statement again, and then next time you cut down Lalit and then put over there I. Now they read it again. Now it says this 32 parts of the body, disgusting thing, is empty of the concept called I. You see, when I was small, my mother or father, pointing at me said Lalit. They never said that I, pointing out that one. So we make this concept that I am, and alone that one, you mind, and all those things are coming. So that way you can understand this emptiness. So you can see there is this birth over here, baby type body, and then it was subject to aging, sickness and death. Then you are in the mind-made body, you have not eaten, so it is suffering over here. So you are separated from the baby type body, so separation from what is pleasing. So therefore you can see that you don't have that body type thing, so therefore this empty. It is empty of that concept in pure self. So now at this particular point, you do have really good meditation. This arrow over here showing over your first meditation. What it says, you see, you had a baby type body birth, was subject to aging, sickness and death. And then you are in the mind-made body, you have not eaten for many days or so it's suffering. You are separated from the baby type body, so then it is impermanent. So when you are going down, vertically you can see it is impermanent and suffering. And then when you are going horizontally, you can see birth to aging. So that means there is this changing. So then this arrow actually saying this one. It says if it is impermanent, subject to suffering and change, is it befitting to regard as mine? So you can write down that particular statement. If it is impermanent, subject to suffering and change, is it befitting to regard as mine in that arrow? If it is impermanent, subject to suffering and change, is it befitting to regard as mine? So I can tell you, there are about more than 100 discourses where Buddha is asking monk, pointing out at a form, is this permanent or not? So the monks are answering, it is impermanent, sir. Then Buddha is asking, if it is impermanent, is it suffering or not? It is suffering, sir. And then Buddha is asking, if it is impermanent and subject to suffering and change, change means because of birth to aging, is it befitting to regard as mine? They answer, no, sir. So you are lucky over here, you can see that Dhamma from this arrow. If it is impermanent, subject to suffering and change, is it befitting to regard as mine? So if you answer it correctly, then in one instance, it is the fourth jhana concentration. And in another instance, it is that plane of nothing, the seventh jhana. And in another instant, it's the liberation due to mind. It's sometimes called void liberation. It's emptiness is there, so void liberation. So those are the three things can occur. So that's a very powerful and simple meditation on that one. So then, now you can see we come to the emptiness over here. Now you are separated from the dearly loved body, so separation from what is placing, but you do have only one such body. So if you are separated from the only body, then what is left with, union with what is displacing? Do you take anything that displeasing as yours? You are not regarding them as mine. So then number 11, non-self, anatto. Anattato is written down over here as the number 11. So that also can be explained in Anindya Sappaya Sutta. Buddha said that the second way of arriving at this seventh jhana is that the empty of self and what belongs to self. And that also can be seen really over here, because if it is empty, it is empty from all the things, matter, feeling and all those things, therefore you get the empty of self and what belongs to self. Now, one example is, let us say a young person is saying, I will construct a house. So he's telling his friend. So the friend go away, and after two years or so, the friend is coming back and asking him, so where is the house? And then you see, if he has actually put a brick over there, then he can pinpoint, although there is no house, this is my house. So it sort of marks something, indicate that house or something. But if there isn't any brick over there, then you can't say it is only in his head. So now when you come to emptiness, so any of these things is not befitting to regard as mine, therefore it is empty. So there's no even a brick. So then you can see, because of that one, we get this idea, empty of self and what belongs to self. If there is something, then it is actually limiting, limit up to that level. So that is the 11th one, that is belong to the contemplation of non-self. So we have marked those 11 things, and also we learn one meditation. So there is another meditation to do with this one. For that one we are going to use a discourse that is called this Phena Sutta, the form discourse. It says, on one occasion the Blessed One was staying among the Ayojans on the banks of the Ganges river. There he addressed the monks. Suppose that a large globe of foam were floating down this Ganges river, and a man with good eyesight were to see it, observe it and appropriately examine it. To him, seeing it, observing it, appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance. For what substance would there be in a globe of foam? In the same way, a monk sees, observes and appropriately examines any form that is past, future or present, internal or external, blatant or subtle, common or sublime, far or near. To him, seeing it, observing it, appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance. For what substance would there be in form? That in the river there are these lump of foams are there, and then Buddha pointing out and asking, if someone with a good eyesight examine it, he sees there's nothing, no hardwood or anything like that one inside it. Even if you hit it from your even finger, it will break. So now here Buddha is comparing this form that we have, our body, to a lump of foam. So in that diagram, then we can write down that over here in the number 1, next to it, we can say foam, and within bracket you write down is a lump of foam. The foam is a lump of foam. And then again in the discourse, it says, now suppose that in the autumn, when it is raining, fat heavy drops, a water bubble ought to appear and disappear on the water. And a man with good eyesight ought to see it, observe it, and appropriately examine it. To him seeing it, observing it, and appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance. For what substance would there be in water bubble? In the same way, a monk sees, observe, appropriately examine any feeling that is past, future or present, internal or external, blatant or subtle, common or sublime, far or near. To him, seeing it, observing it, appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance. For what substance would there be in feeling? So, Buddha is comparing this feeling, on a rainy day, water drops are coming down, it's splashing and it's going. That's all. Another one coming up, it lasts for milliseconds. So, Buddha here comparing the feeling to a water bubble. So, in this particular place where you have the number 2 suffering, so you can write down that is feeling and write down underneath the water bubble. Feeling is a water bubble, isn't it? Why? You see, remember I was talking about that a person who want to be born in this world, so they are coming, looking for food, looking for a place to be born. So then he going into that mother's womb. And then he was thinking this world is sort of, pleasurable and so on when he is doing that one. So for about 2 years or so, that person got it. Because, when you are, today we are eating something like pumpkin. Pumpkin, can you eat pumpkin? You would say yes. But if you are in a sort of a desert area which is just a pumpkin, you can't eat it because it's hard. You need to break it. You need to have a knife to cut it. And then you need to boil it. And then you need to have about 4 or 5 such curries to make up your meal. But for this little boy, baby, you can see that that person is getting milk from the mother and nourished in every aspect, and it is really good. They say even the medicine is there. So that food-wise, perfect for that baby. And then next, the mother's breast is inside this person's mouth. So it's sucking, so there is this soothing effect for the baby. So 2 kind of happiness. And then thirdly, you can see the mother's body is touching the baby's body. And because of the baby's skin is very soft, and that baby is getting the warm earth and the, all the happiness from the mother's body. So 3 kind of happiness is there. And then the next you can see that mother is looking at, the baby who is sucking milk, mother is looking at with a compassionate eye. Today do you get someone, let you eat and look at you in a compassionate eye? You don't get it. So number 5, you can see that mother is singing a song or lullaby, so good for the ear as well. So what happened to these 5 kind of happiness when this baby is about 4 years old? Because mother got another baby, so she would boil rice and potato and so on, mix them up and let you sit down on a table. Son, you eat. Son or daughter, you eat. Now you can see you are trying to eat these food crumbs everywhere in your face and so on. and you find that it is not happy as before. So you are trying to come into mother, but you can't because there is this, your sister or brother is there. So you lost it, just only 2 years or so you had it. And then when you are 10 or 12 years old, mother is not touching you that much. And then 20, it is not at all. So now some people, some are old and, gray hair and wrinkled body. And even today, what are you saying most of the time? Oh, mom. The word mom has got that all the things, that the warmth, protection, the food, milk and all those happiness, whatever things that she gave, those 5 kind of happiness, that is what you are asking. Or maybe you are young and then someone is touching you for a millisecond or so, and then having, grown old, you with the wrinkled skin, you still demand, let me have the pleasure I used to have in my 20s. You are not going to find it. So you can see it is only lasting milliseconds or so. So it's like a water bubble, it's just a flashing and it's gone. That's what it is. So that is the second one. And then again in the discourse, Buddha is saying, now suppose that in the last month of the hot season, a shimmering mirage appear and a man with good eyesight were to see it, observe it, appropriately examine it. To him, seeing it, observing it, appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance. What substance would there be for being a mirage? In the same way, a monk sees, observes, and appropriately examines and any perception that is past, future, present, internal or external, blatant or subtle, common or sublime, far or near. To him, seeing it, observing it, and appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance. For what substance would there be in perception? You see, this Buddha is comparing this the perception to a mirage. So you can write down in number 3, next to the disease, the perception, and within bracket you can write down mirage. It's an optical illusion. As you can see, you already observe this one, that we are saying is beauty, but it is actually the foul nature. You add the permanence to the beauty, then you are seeing pleasurable. Another wrong thing, isn't it? So it's just a mirage over there. So then again, going back to the discourse, you can see, now suppose that a man desiring heartwood, in quest of heartwood, seeking heartwood, were to go into a forest carrying a sharp axe. There he would see a large banana tree, straight, young, and of enormous height. He would cut it at the root, and having cut at the root, would chop off the top. Having chopped off the top, he would peel away the outer skin. Peeling away the outer skin, he wouldn't even find sapwood, to say nothing of heartwood. Then a man with good eyesight would see it, observe it, appropriately examine it. To him, seeing it, observing it, appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance. For what substance would there be in a banana tree? In the same way, a monk observe, appropriately examine any fabrications, that is volitional formations, that are past, future or present, internal or external, blatant or subtle, common or sublime, far or near. To him, seeing them, observing them, appropriately examining them, they would appear empty, void, without substance. For what substance would there be in fabrications? So here someone was looking for hardwood and went to the forest, and then what he saw was a banana tree. So he was thinking hardwood would be there. And then he cut it, and then when you remove the skin, you can see the inner part is, there is no hardwood at all. So not even the sapwood. So Buddha was comparing this one to this volitional formations to a banana trunk. So it's number 4. You can see next to the tumor, you can write down volitional formations within bracket banana trunk. So next that we have in the discourse, now suppose that a magician or magician's apprentice were to display a magic trick at a major intersection, and a man with good eyesight were to see it, observe it, and appropriately examine it. To him, seeing it, observing it, appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance. For what substance would there be in a magic trick? In the same way, a monk sees, observe, and appropriately examine any consciousness, that is past, future, present, internal, external, latent, subtle, common, or sublime, far or near. To him, seeing it, observing it, appropriately examining it, it would appear empty, void, without substance. For what substance would there be in consciousness? So here, that someone is seeing, looking at a magician performing some sort of magic in a junction, then man with the eyesight see, well, there's nothing over here. So here Buddha is comparing this consciousness as a magic trick. So let us write down, next to that dark part over here, number 5, consciousness, within bracket we can write down magic trick. So back to the discourse. Now Buddha is saying, seeing thus the well-instructed disciple of the noble ones grows disenchanted with form, disenchanted with feeling, disenchanted with perception, fabrications, and with consciousness. Disenchanted, he grows dispassion. Through dispassion, he is released. With release, there is knowledge release. He discerns that birth is ended. The holy life is fulfilled. The task is done. There is nothing further for this world. In other words, that person become an arahant. So, now in this the document we have marked those 5 things, and that it says that perception like a mirage, and I saw this one in my meditation. So you can see there is some rotating glass tube type thing over here, like a coveting and greed, feeling, body type of misapprehension, volitional formation, body type of insistence, that this is truth. So it's like a tube, isn't it? Glass tube type thing. And it is rotating. Why? Because physical nutriment, we come to the barb of lust, we going back to the physical nutriment, means it is rotating. So over here, like you are putting petrol to the car, just put a lump of foam here. And then you rotate this one, with the barb of lust. What will happen? This lump will break into, then you will see small dots. So in this place where the feeling is, you can see these small dots are there. When you come to the perception level over here in this particular line, red line, you can see you don't see water. You will some sort of see something, a mirage. Some sort of optical illusion. It looks like there is water, there is nothing. And then when you come to the volitional formations, there is nothing at all. So on this side, then there is this magician. So now he is saying, look, if something from the left came to this side, making this, beautiful picture. A mirage was there. And now what he is doing? He is spinning that one is the barb of delusion. So when he is spinning with barb of delusion, whatever the water vapor coming to the right side will go back. And then again it will form this lump of foam. So that is your life. You see, our body is just, you do not know when you are dying. And even from a finger, you can sort of break it. We normally think this is a very hard, strong thing. That's our own stupid arrogance, that's all. One person in Australia, that he died while playing tennis. Another person in Canberra, he was running and he died. Younger person. So we do not know, any time you can die. So what we are saying here is like a lump of foam. It will break with your fingertips as well. So it's going to the right side means that there was death. And then you are spinning with the barb of delusion means now you are reconstructing that foam. You are going back to the foam again. That is what it is. You are going to right and spinning, and then you are coming back to the same lump of foam. So what you need to do for the meditation, so you spin this one, put a lump over here, and then you are saying foam is like a lump of foam. This wording written over here. Feeling is like a water bubble. The perception is like a mirage. Volitional formations like a banana trunk. Consciousness is like a magic trick. So put some lump of foam over here and then spin it. Then you might see this mirage, optical illusion. And then having understood this one, what you are doing. This is your whole life is summarized over here. Form is like a lump of foam. Feeling is like a water bubble. Perception is like a mirage. And the volitional formations like a banana trunk, and consciousness is like a magic trick. You see these volitional formations like a banana trunk, it has a really good meaning. More you dig on it, more you see. You see that, there is no hardwood in banana trunk, and there is nothing to be trusted in it. That you are asking someone to do something for you. Can you sort of believe and expect that he will do the way you want it? You can't, isn't it? Then you are actually saying, if I did that one, then I would have done correctly. Sort of saying your conceit on that one. But sometimes you say that I can make hoppers. And then sometimes you go there and try to make hoppers. You can't. It is getting attached to that, the thing that you are actually making hoppers. So you can't trust your own volitional formations, not to trust about the others. So you can't trust your own volitional formations means, let us think about the moment that you are going to the mother's womb. So you are actually looking at that, there's a man and a woman, and then you are watching that scenario, what they are doing. Maybe you are saying that I am actually looking at that for fun. They do quite a lot of time. You see, after death, that's what I was telling. There's no ethics. There's no father, no mother, no police. No one. So you have got a good excuse as well. I am here. I am watching this one to get my chance of being born again. So good excuse. And then you are watching it, And as soon as that man go out of that one, although you may be watching for fun, you see some sort of a yellowish thing inside the mother's womb, and straight away the consciousness, going there and establishing, consciousness is getting established over there. Now you are thinking, what happened over here? I didn't want to come over here to this mother's womb. I don't want any of them. But, you are now stuck. You see, there's this word called Tusni Bhuta in Sinhala. That means from three things. You came to a sort of surprise. What are those three things over here? is the physical nutriment, birth and the feeling. Because of that one, then got a surprise. So you are inside that mother's womb. You are not expecting to be there. Means you can't trust your own volitional formation. I'm watching for this one, but you are just absorbed over there. And now let us say, okay, so I'm now over here. What can I do? So now I have to make my eye, ear, nose, thumb, body, and the mind in that sense. So can you make your eye? Just think for a moment. You have an eye now. In the next birth, are you sure you can have, such a good eye? You are actually thinking, I will make a perfect eye. Sometimes mother has eyes, but the baby that comes out of her womb, that baby does not have eyes, ears and so on. So you can't trust your own volitional formation. It's like a banana trunk. So more you think about it, you can see from that banana trunk type volitional formation, you are constructing consciousness. Then can you trust the consciousness? You cannot trust the consciousness either. So you can actually see this Parato alien part very heavily in this if you pursue that way. So we have now learned 2 meditations. Now there's the third meditation. For the third meditation, we are going to look at all the paths that are coming to this non-self. We already covered one path from the number 10, Shunyato, that's empty, and then therefore it is you are getting the non-self over here. And now there is this perception. The perception is like a mirage. So let us say you are in a sort of mountain and you are climbing the mountain. You had some water, now you ran out of water. Now you really need water. Then you see somewhere in that mountain that it looks like there is water. So you are actually going there. And then unfortunately it wasn't the water, it's a mirage. So then you did not find water. So therefore you are sorrowing. So then you can write down, so the next to number 7, sorrowing perception. So that means you went to find water, you did not find water, you found the mirage, so you are now sorrowing. So would you regard sorrowing perception as mind? You don't. So therefore non-self. So in other words, you can see there is a connection from number 3 to number 7 to number 11. So perception is a mirage, and I didn't find anything, so I am sorrowing. So sorrowing perception I do not regard as mind, therefore non-self. So we have covered 2 paths over here. And then there is another path that you can see that there is this aging, sadness, and then union with what is this spacing. So do you regard things like aging and sadness as mind? No. So therefore, you can see aging, sadness, this arrow actually saying it is non-self as well. So now we have 3 arrows. Remember when we are coming to number 10, I was telling you that this one sometimes, if it is impermanent, subject to suffering and change, is it befitting to regard as mind? When you answer correctly, it could be 4th jhana, it could be 7th jhana, it could be the liberation due to mind, void liberation. So those 2 are actually coming from these ones. You see, there's this sadness means it's a feeling. So if you are not taking feeling as mind, then you can go to 7th jhana. And then over here you are not taking perception as mind. Number 3, 7 path, that is perception is not mind. So if you are not regarding perception as mind, then you can get the liberation due to mind. That is called void abiding. So the way you answer when you are coming to number 10, how you answer, with what knowledge you are answering, depending on that knowledge, you have either 4th jhana, or the 7th jhana, or the liberation due to mind is there. And then we can do little bit further. Now you can see here we are talking about this number 11, non-self. We are talking about the perception. So it is befitting for us to write down perception underneath number 11. And then also number 10, you can see it is, here we are talking about the feeling, that so write down underneath number 10, feeling, and within bracket you can write down non-self. Feeling is non-self. Now you can see we are contemplating on feeling in 2 ways. At number 2, we are seeing is a feeling is suffering over here. And the number 10, then we are saying is anatta, it's not self. Shunyata is there, it's not self. So 2 contemplations are there for the feeling. And then again, that number 8, this is the Paratho, this alien, is belonging to the contemplation, class of contemplations called non-self. So we would write down non-self over there, underneath number 8. And then again, this disintegrating part, number 9, here we are talking about the form, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, they are disintegrating, mind is also disintegrating, but so that means impermanent. So write down form and then within bracket impermanent. Okay, so now we have completed the whole diagram. So now how do we do the meditation? The first meditation is this arrow. How we go into that understanding? You have a baby type body, that is by birth you got this baby type body. Now it's already subject to aging. Now you take a snapshot, going in front of a mirror. Now I have already subject to aging. Take it seriously, not just aging. And then, what will happen? What has happened to my father, grandfather, and so on. So the sickness and death. So those are the ones coming to you. So then you are in the mind-made body. You have not eaten many days. So therefore suffering. And you are separated from the baby type body. So therefore it is impermanent. So when you are going down, you are saying impermanent and suffering. And to the right side, birth to aging, that means change. So you wrote down, if it is impermanent, subject to suffering and change, is it befitting to regard as mind? So that's the first meditation. And when you do that one, you are either with a noble understanding, you are either in the 4th jhana, or the 7th jhana, or you are in the liberation due to mind. That depends on how you answer, with what knowledge you are answering it. And those knowledges were shown over here. So that is the first meditation. For the second meditation, you are putting a lump of foam to this rotating glass tube over here at the point of coveting and greed. And you are greedy for that lump of foam. And then you are spinning with barb of lust. What will happen? That lump of foam will break and some, dots will be there from the water over there. So when it comes to feeling, it's that tiny dots. When it comes to this perception level, you don't see, you see only a mirage. It looks like there is water, there is nothing. And then when it comes to the volitional formations, and there is nothing, and there is a magician on the right side. Now he is saying, look, there was a beautiful thing came from left to right, forming a mirage over there. Now he used barb of illusion and spin that one, then whatever the water came to right side will go back and then again form the lump of foam. Now what you thought as a, sort of a very strong body, it will die, maybe you are playing cricket and all those things, you collapse. It's just from a finger tip that will break. So you put this thing and then spin, and then you say form is like a lump of foam, feeling is like a water bubble, perception is like a mirage, volitional formations like a banana trunk, and the consciousness is like a magic trick. So that is the second meditation. For a third meditation, then you are looking at all the places that, all the ways that come into the non-self, number 11. So you already covered one path over here, coming to number 10, and separation from what is placing, and then coming to the union with what is displacing. So you are not regarding anything displacing as yours, so therefore non-self. And then the next arrow, there's the number 3 to 7 and 11, that is perception. Yeah, you are looking for water and you did not find water, you just found only the mirage. So therefore you are sorrowing. So sorrowing perception you are not regarding as mind, therefore you get the non-self. And the next arrow, the aging, sadness, and coming to the union with what is displacing. No one is taking aging and sadness as mine. So therefore, so it is not mine. And then you can also cover the other parts like number 10, feeling non-self, and then this parato over here, number 8, non-self part. For that one, I was actually asking you to think about these volitional formations as banana trunk. You can't trust. You can't trust others. You can't trust your own volitional formations. Think about the moment that you are going to mother's womb. You get stuck over there. You can't trust your own volitional formations. And it's like a banana trunk. So when it is constructed, the consciousness, again you can't trust that one either. So in other words, this one is dependent. It dependent on what? Consciousness is dependent on a volitional formation which is like a banana trunk. So you are understanding a very high level dependent origination link in that point. And when you do this one, what are the things you are getting? And those are this wisdom, faith, sense of shame, fear of wrongdoing, mindfulness and effort. Those are the things written over there. You see these meditations when we were conducting these sessions before, long time ago, and it's not like today people did not sort of get into these attainments like today. So those days, Sampati Mahabrahma, when I asked, he is giving some sort of a meditation subject for that particular person to do. So for one person, he was asked to do this meditation for 7 weeks. And before the 7 weeks, Sampati Mahabrahma showed me that his mind, how it is working. And then remember we were talking about that green line, that that there's what is called this bolt, sakkaya-ditthi, there are identity view, and the doubt, and then this silabhita paramasa, this result of virtue and duty clinging, you get this misapprehension. So that one was over here, and it was very thick, the down below over here. And after 7 weeks, after doing this meditation, and that was very thin, and from another meditation, it was completely removed. So this I have looked at many people's mind that who has not attained, and it's not only over here. No, it's not necessary to be its form over here, But I have seen some people over here, physical nutriment, you are coming over here and going to the mental volition like a V shape, and then going down, and then going to the consciousness like a W, and then coming down. And that is how that person's mind is working. If you look at the mind of an innocent person, it's normally going from physical nutriment, perception, volition, consciousness, and then going down over here like a L shape. So when someone is asking Buddha, sort of a meditation subject, give me what is called kamataha, and then Buddha is looking at that person's mind, and then Buddha see how it is working, where is this doba, and then Buddha giving that sort of a sutra. Every sutra is a knowledge path that will break that doba. You see, if you want to break a wall, then you are hitting from this side in the top and from the other side. And one good discourse is to say this one is this whole discourse called craving. So here Buddha is saying, monk, the extreme point of craving to become is not apparent, so that one may say craving to become was not before. It has since come to be, and this statement monk is made. Nevertheless, this thing is apparent. Craving to become is conditioned by this or that. I declare, monk, craving to become has its nutriment. It is not without nutriment. And what is the nutriment of craving to become? Ignorance should be the reply. So you can see you get the ignorance, and then so because of the ignorance, then this come to be. And ignorance, I declare, monk, has its nutriment. It is not without nutriment. And what is the nutriment of ignorance? The 5 hindrances should be the reply. So you get the ignorance because of the 5 hindrances. And I declare among that 5 hindrances have their nutriment, are not without nutriment. And what is the nutriment of the 5 hindrances? 3 wrong ways of practice should be the reply. And that too, they too have nutriment. What? Non-restraint of the sense faculties. So what is this one means? You see, if you look at this diagram, if the doba is over here, or somewhere, it doesn't matter, you can see if in the place of wisdom, let us say is not wisdom, we have ignorance. And then that discourse is telling, that is called Bhavatanha Purikoti Sutta. So the ignorance is actually occurring because of the 5 hindrances. So the sensual desire is written over here. In other words, you move from the right to the left through that doba. So you are hitting it once. And then Buddha is saying these 5 hindrances are because of 3 wrong ways of practice. So 3 wrong ways of practice, the killing, stealing sort of scenario, it is written over here. So you are crossing again through the doba. So you hit it again. And then they are saying these 3 wrong ways of practice because of the non-restraint of the faculties. So the restraint of faculties over here, non-restraint will be in that side as well. So you are hitting again. So that discourse, keep on hitting this one. So the doba will break. So similarly, this one is hitting 3 times. You see, we are generating these volitional formations because of this feeling. So here, before you are generating it, you are saying at the number 10, non-self. It is not mine. It's like that to construct a house, you got these cement banks, the wood pieces and so on. And you are saying, none of these are mine before the construction. And you are constructing it from the perception. When you are constructing, you are saying it is not mine. That is the perception, not self. And then what you are constructing? The consciousness. And the number 8, you are saying it is not self. So it is hitting 3 times. So then your doba will go away from this one. So one become enlightened. So I mentioned 3 meditations. So let us take 10 or 15 minutes for you to have the discussion, and then we will do the meditation.